Welcome to the Kendo and en-undō Italia podcast in this English language version. Enjoy listening.
Welcome to this new episode of the podcast for all lovers of Kendo, en-undō, and the whole world of martial arts. Today we are strapping on the bugu and heading straight into the heart of some really high-level Kendo technique.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one.
We're going to forget the basic movements for a bit. We're doing a really detailed analysis of striking mechanics, or uchimi, and we're focusing specifically on that foundational, high-powered men strike.
And our source for this is fantastic. We've pulled instruction directly from the teaching notes of Kurita Waichiro, who's an 8th Dan Kyoshi. So we're really getting into the precision required at that elite level.
This is the ultimate deep dive, right? For anyone who practices. Kurita Sensei's approach, it's not just about, swinging the sword faster.
No, not at all. It's about micro-timing, efficiency, and synchronization. The goal here is really to give you those critical, often invisible technical points.
Things you can't see.
Exactly. The things on footwork, power, and timing that really separate a fast strike from a powerful, effective ippon.
So our mission is pretty simple. Let's stop practicing average Kendo. We're going to break down this really complex sequence of movement into actionable, repeatable steps.
And we have to start with the engine room of the strike.
Yeah.
The mechanics of the driving step, the fumikomi ashi.
Right, the foundation.
So when we look at any movement in Kendo, we're really talking about sushinroku. That's the forward propulsion.
Okay.
In basic suriashi, the gliding step, the drive comes from the rear foot, and that lets the lead foot just glide effortlessly. But when we transition into the strike, well, the fumikomi changes everything.
That transition needs a massive, almost instantaneous injection of power, correct?
Absolutely. From a stable chudan no kamae, that forward propulsion, that sushinroku, it has to be generated by pushing, and I mean aggressively pushing, with the ball of the left foot, the hidari no sumisaki.
So you have to think of that left foot not just as a stabilizer, but like a spring being loaded and then released?
Exactly. If you don't commit fully with that rear push, your momentum will just die before you even reach the target.
I see that a lot, practitioners trying to sort of drag their right foot forward or lift their whole body into the strike.
Yeah, and the sources are really clear on this. The push has to be the primary source of propulsion. It's a fundamental shift in how you think about it.
It really is.
Because if you lift, you lose contact with the floor, which just destroys your stability and your timing. And if you drag, you're wasting energy and you're slowing the whole strike down. It has to be a forceful, aggressive push. And that push dictates how the right foot lands.
And the landing is that famous stamp. Kurita Sensei insists it has to land strongly with the entire sole, the ashi no ura on the floor. So why the entire sole, not just the heel or the ball of the foot?
It's all about stability and connection. Stamping with the entire sole gives you this immediate, unyielding grounding.
Okay.
It stabilizes the upper body, just as the hands are finishing the strike. It provides that audible signal of commitment, yes, but mechanically, it's about transferring the maximum amount of forward force into a vertical stance.
So if you land on the heel or the toes, you create a kind of rocking motion.
A slight rocking motion that completely destroys the focus of the cut.
This brings us to the really staggering part of this, I think. The timing rule for the recovery. So you've pushed, you've stamped. What has to happen next?
The recovery of the left foot. This is really the hallmark of advanced Kendo footwork.
Right.
The left foot, after that powerful push, it cannot lag. Not even for a moment. It has to be quickly retrieved or pulled back, hikitsukuru, and immediately returned to its correct chudan position.
And the rule is strict.
Oh, it's incredibly strict. The entire sequence, the forward push, the right foot stamp, and the left foot retrieval, all of it has to happen in 0.4 seconds. Ichibyo-yon.
0.4 seconds. I mean, to put that in perspective, the average human reaction time is about 1/4 of a second. A full blink takes about 0.1 to 0.4 seconds. That is how fast the lower body has to work.
It's incredible coordination. And this is why the most common mistakes all revolve around that left foot. If the left foot lags or trails, or even worse, it starts hopping henet shimatari.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Then you've lost the drive, you've lost stability, and you've basically failed the test of zanshin. A lagging left foot means you are physically unbalanced as you pass your opponent. You're just vulnerable to an immediate counter.
So the left foot is responsible for the foundation of your attack and your defense.
The whole thing. So if a practitioner finds their left foot is lagging, what's the single biggest correction they can make?
What should they be thinking?
They need to focus less on the right foot moving forward and more on aggressively retrieving the left foot. It's a pull action that's almost simultaneous with the right foot landing.
Like a closing spring.
Perfect analogy. You push off a wall, and that back foot just snaps instantly back into guard position.
That leads us perfectly to the idea of commitment in the fumikomi. Kurita-sensei talks about maximizing forward movement. It's not enough to just step into range.
No, not at all. When you initiate the fumikomi, the forward commitment has to be absolute. The instruction is very visual. The right foot's landing point should feel as though you are trying to step directly on the opponent's right foot.
Wow.
This does two things. First, it ensures you maximize your forward extension and close the ma'i decisively. And second, it means you're transferring your complete body weight into the line of attack. Half measures just lead to weak strikes.
That aggressive target visualization, it really pushes you beyond your comfortable range, forces maximum extension. Okay, so we've built the footwork engine. Let's move to the next part. Translating that momentum into power and control. Striking dynamics and zanshin.
Right. So generating maximum power, especially for a big iki men strike, requires sequencing the upper body correctly. And it's a common misconception that the power just comes from the shoulders or the arms.
It's a full body movement.
It has to be. Kurita-sensei insists that all available joints must be utilized, and in sequence. The shoulder, kata, the elbow, hiji, the wrist, takubi, and finally, even the finger joints, the yubi no kansetsu.
It sounds like a whip action. The force accelerates through the body and culminates right at the point of contact.
That's it, exactly. If any joint is stiff or locks up too soon, the power just dissipates. It has to be a fluid chain that allows the body weight, which is driven by the fumikomi, to transfer fully into the shinai.
But the work isn't done once the shinai connects. The control after the strike is so important, especially for achieving zanshin.
Oh, this is a huge measure of mastery.
Yeah.
If you strike and then you let the sword tip the kensen fly up high, you are immediately vulnerable.
You're wide open.
Completely. The body must maintain the striking posture, futamama no katachi. The form has to be held. This shows physical control, mental readiness. If the kensen goes up, your hands are relaxed, and you can't transition instantly to block or attack again.
So the hands have to stay firm, holding that striking posture as the body completes its pass-through, and that pass-through is what establishes zanshin, that vigilance, that dominance.
And that follow-through. It needs to be a small, fast, gliding step, a suriashi. And here's the key, and this links right back to what we were saying before.
The left foot again.
The left foot again. That gliding movement is powered entirely by the left foot pushing forward. It drives the body past the opponent, maintaining contact with the floor. You must never, ever rely on the right foot just dragging the body.
So the left foot, the motor, it not only starts the attack in 0.4 seconds, but it's also solely responsible for ensuring a clean, stable, and fast follow-through to establish zanshin. It's really the unsung hero of the whole technique.
It is. If you feel your upper body tilting or you're kind of running awkwardly after the strike, the problem is almost always an insufficient left foot push in that follow-through.
Which means you failed to snap it back into place during the fumikomi.
It's all connected.
It all comes back to that. Okay, let's shift now to timing, to my distance and commitment. This is where the psychology of the strike really comes into play, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. This is the ultimate mental hurdle. Your body and mind often disagree when you cross that threshold into uchimai, the effective striking distance.
I think we've all felt that. You feel confident outside of range, but then you enter it, and there's a moment of panic.
Right. Your mind knows you have to execute the strike, but your body sort of hedges its bets. It wants to be sure the distance is absolutely perfect, and that hedging is what destroys the attack.
So what's the specific technical error that Kurita-sensei points to, the thing that reveals this lack of commitment?
He calls it the chicken step. The common error is entering the effective distance, but then unconsciously taking an extra small step forward with the left foot, a little placement step, just before you launch the fumikomi.
And that fractional movement sacrifices timing and surprise.
Completely. You're basically setting up the launch, which is like sending a telegram to your opponent. If you take that extra prep step, you're sacrificing the suddenness that Kendo demands. They read your intention, and they have time to react.
You waste all that momentum that should have gone into the fumikomi. So the correction requires...
What?
Total body and mind synchronization. Kimochi.
Exactly. You have to decide on the attack before you cross the threshold.
And once that mental commitment is made, how do you train your body to stop taking that little extra step?
You have to move immediately from the established distance. There should be zero pre-striking movement of the left foot. If you are standing at the edge of your ma'ai, the strike has to be a singular, explosive fumikomi launched from that exact spot.
It requires absolute faith in your ability to measure the distance.
Yes, without needing to adjust your body posture right before you go. It's the difference between throwing a dart from a fixed point versus taking a little shuffle step forward before you release it. You have to trust the position you're already in.
That's a great way to put it. Okay, let's move on to what I find to be the most counterintuitive element of all this. The paradox of the Chisakumen, the small strike, and how it connects to en-undō, or circular movement.
Right. Kendo technique, at its core, it relies on circular movement. A full, large shomen strike is a beautiful, large circular motion, the en-undō. And that arc is what generates maximum force and cutting potential.
But in competition, you often need these rapid short strikes, the small men. And when we shorten the movement, the quality of the strike can really degrade. What happens mechanically?
The circle collapses. The most common structural mistake is that the upper body leans forward or the hands push the kensen ahead of the body too early. So instead of striking down uchi or rosu, you end up with this weak forward-pressing strike.
Like you're trying to poke them instead of cut them.
Exactly. It lacks true impact and it leaves you exposed. It looks like you're trying to bore a hole rather than cut.
So how do we execute a rapid small strike but still maintain the putting power of that circular motion?
And this is a brilliant piece of instruction from Kurita sensei. Even for the small strike, you have to use visualization. You have to visualize or even feel the left fist being raised to initiate the downstroke, even though the movement itself is physically tiny.
So you're mentally recreating the apex of the circle, the choshu, which is what gives the strike its downward force.
Precisely. By prioritizing that feeling of vertical initiation, you ensure the power is still coming from your shoulders and your back, using gravity and that circular path rather than just relying on the small muscles in your wrists pushing forward.
That's a really high-level detail, leveraging the feeling of large movements even when you're executing small ones.
And this leads us to the big overarching principle for any strike, large or small, that connects everything we've talked about. Body first, hands last.
That counterintuitive discipline, the hands have to wait.
The body, the tai and the feet, the ashi, they have to move first. Using that powerful left foot push we detailed, the body drives the attack, it closes the gap. The hands, the tei, should move last, only right at the moment of impact.
For intermediate students, resisting that urge to rush the hands forward seems to be the biggest hurdle because it feels like your hands are lagging behind.
They should feel like they're lagging. If they move too soon, the momentum just pulls the body forward. It compromises your posture and your stance right before the fumikomi hits. You have to trust the speed of your lower body, that 0.4-second sequence, to close the distance.
So the body and the feet secure the position, and the hands just finalize the cut once the structure is sound.
The body has to arrive with the fumikomi before the hands complete their task.
This whole deep dive has been so rich with detail. If we were to zoom out for the listener, what are the 3 most essential nuggets they should take away from this?
Okay, first and foremost, master that 0.4-second footwork rule. The entire sequence, push, stamp, retrieve, it has to be lightning fast and precise. That's your foundation.
Okay, number 2.
Second, the left foot is not just a pusher, it is your structural integrity check. It has to drive the attack, and more importantly, it has to push that controlled, fast suriashi follow-through to ensure you have immediate and stable zanshin.
Right, and the 3rd.
And third, remember the paradox of power. Whether you're doing a large or a small strike, Kendo is circular. You have to always maintain the sequence of body first, hands last, and use that visualization of raising the left fist to make sure your small strikes have the downward cutting force of a large one.
It really forces you to reevaluate every single movement below the waist.
It does. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it raises a really important question for you to reflect on.
Go on.
If Kendo technique is founded on this geometric concept of circular motion, but effective application demands the sequential movement foot, body, then hand-hat is consciously prioritizing that sequence, fundamentally change how you perceive the distance, the ma'ai, and the timing of your strike.
Wow.
It makes ma'ai an act of absolute physical commitment, not just a simple measurement.
That is a fascinating thought to take back to the dojo and a challenge to our own muscle memory. Thank you again for listening to this new episode, and if you enjoyed this episode, please like or subscribe to our podcast. It doesn't cost you anything, but it's important to us so we can continue our work. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to this podcast.
Kendo e Aido Italia, il podcast.